I'm the kind of guy that can't stick to using just one camera or even one camera brand. But the past year, I've been using the Lumix S5 II and the S5 IIX a lot. They're just extremely versatile. They're small and compact and do a great job of hybrid shooting. So I'm able to travel with them and just have them with me everywhere, whereas some of my bigger cameras end up staying home in the studio. And today I want to show you how I shoot with them, what I do for both photo and video production, some of the settings that I change that I think will help you out a lot, and just overall why this is such a versatile camera and how to make it work for you. When Panasonic lent me the S5 II, they knew how much I liked shooting with it, so they offered to sponsor a couple videos, which you're watching right now, where I talk about how I use the cameras to create the work that I do. And I just want to clarify that because I review a lot of cameras on this channel as well, and those reviews are never sponsored. This video is all about how to get the most out of the Lumix. We're shooting our samples here in Seville, Spain, and also Lisbon, Portugal. I brought along the 24-105 f4 and also the 16-35 f4. Both of them will fit in a bag, makes for a great travel kit and covers all of the ranges that you need. And if you're wondering, this shot of me is actually on the prime lens, the 24mm 1.8, so you can get a little bit more blur in the background. If I'm traveling around and I know I'm just gonna be shooting talking heads for YouTube, that 24mm is the one that I'll pack because it works great in a hotel room. It's compact and I can get plenty of blur in the background. Let's dig into some settings. And first of all, my philosophy in this is that I try not to change too much. I like to pick up any camera and it works mostly the same. I try not to customize it too much. So these are just the things that I think are essential. I'll start by changing it to video mode because that's where I think there's the most customization opportunity. Photos work pretty well by default. And there's actually only two buttons that I customize. This small front button here by the grip, and also this top button on the back here. And I'll go section by section, starting with the video menu here. Go to exposure mode, turn that to manual. Obviously you can shoot auto if you want, but that's not the kind of video this is. Right under that, we have photo style, and the only ones I use here are Vlog and real-time LUT that are right beside each other. I use them for different purposes. Vlog is super customizable. You can grade it however you want. I've done videos about color grading, especially in Final Cut Pro, so you can check those out in my playlist, or also real-time LUT. Now, this is useful for more quick turnaround things. I've actually been using it for YouTube, A-roll things like this quite a bit, where I don't want to do any color adjustments. And I've got links down below to the LUTs that I use, so you can check those out. If you're going to be using real-time LUTs, make sure you test those LUTs first and that you're happy with the overall look, because you have a lot less flexibility. So that's why most of the time I shoot in Vlog. So the S5 II series has a dual gain sensor, meaning that as you turn up the ISO at 4,000, it starts to clean up. That doesn't mean you should just always turn it up that high, but after around 1250. So let's take a look at a night shot here. When you're shooting in log, the base ISO is 640. It's the lowest you can turn it down, which is too dark for where we are right now. If you turn it up to 2500, the exposure looks about right, but the noise does get to be a little more visible. Now, if we go further to 4000, it actually cleans up, so it'd be better to shoot at ISO 4000 and close down the aperture a little bit depending on your situation. I also turn on synchro scan. This feature is meant to be able to remove flickering from lights, but I like it because it actually makes this a less sensitive dial, because if you accidentally bump this, you can make a huge exposure change, but with synchro scan, you're just making micro adjustments. And then connected to that right after, we have SS gain operation. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna use angle ISO instead of seconds over ISO. Basically, this uses shutter angle. And what this is nice for is as you switch back and forth between slow motion, 180 degrees, which is the default most of us shoot at, is what you want, both in slow motion and regular motion. And now it's available for you all the time. Basically means the camera handles some math for you so you don't have to. We're gonna move down to focus, and I like to turn continuous A off to mode 2. This just means that it keeps autofocusing so you don't have to start recording to see what's in focus. Lumix used to have some issues with focus and people would really dial in these settings, but I honestly kind of find the defaults mostly work for me right now. Detect subject, human, like there's nothing crazy going on here. You can also access a bunch of this by hitting the physical button here. And typically I'm using zone human detection because then I have like kind of a broad area I can move around for whatever I want to be in focus. And by tapping up, you can turn that human detection on or off depending on what you're filming. Anyway, test all of these out, get to know which ones you'd use in which circumstances. But also don't forget that there is a physical knob up here that switches between continuous, single focus, and manual focus. So if you're in manual, it won't work as expected. It has to be in continuous, which I just leave it there all the time. Also, your switch on your lens needs to be AF. And while we're looking at the back, I just want to appreciate that this area I think is some of the best design on the Lumix cameras. Like, this button is incredibly intuitive, and I end up wishing it was there on other cameras. Same with the joystick, is just like, it goes in 8 directions, pressing in sets you back to center. Everything up here works really well and is well thought out. When you go into record quality, this will look intimidating at first. There are so many different settings. This is great. Power user feature means you can do a ton of different stuff, but it can be overwhelming. So what I like to do is set a few of those to the rec quality my list, a strange naming format, but it just means that like these are my go-tos that I come back to all the time. You can set them to be whatever you want, but first of all, take a look at OpenGate. Super useful. That's when it's shooting at 6K 3:2 image ratio. And to assign it, you can see down here, Q, we'll add it to the list. And if we go down further, there's tons of good stuff here. And I just want to draw attention to something specific. I'm using the S5 IIX here, which means it can record in all I recordings. And you see that very small here where it says 10i. So that means the files will be larger, 400 megabits per second instead of 200. Easier to work with on the computer, better image quality, but they're way bigger and I usually don't use it. I usually shoot in 422 10-bit long op, which is 150 megabits per second. A lot easier to manage that file size and definitely still good enough for most use cases. So Anya is shooting me on the Lumix S5 II, and I'm shooting on the S5 IIX. They are very similar in most ways. There's just a few extra codecs and things on the S5 IIX. So if you're having a hard time choosing, it's only about $200 more. And if you get the S5 IIX, you basically know that you have all of the options. Lumix has a great lens selection. One thing I love is all their prime lenses are the same size and weight, so all the same filters fit on it. You can swap it between gimbals. And on this trip, we're using the 16-35 f4 and the 24-105 f4, which make for a powerful travel kit that you can easily fit in a bag. On top of the camera, we've got 2 dials. One of them will look very familiar. It's got P, A, S, M, the usual. Most cameras have these. Usually, I'm using either manual or aperture priority, and especially when we're traveling, I like to have some level of automation, so that's when I'm in aperture priority. I get less photos wrong that way. There are also a couple custom modes, 3 of them. You can use them to save a set of presets, and I find them especially useful for video shooting. Then on the other dial, we've got timers, high resolution mode. What I really like is the first burst mode. I'm often shooting in that. Even when I'm shooting a still subject, I still like to get at least 2 frames every single time, just so that they're slightly different. So if the focus was off, if I don't notice something was wrong, later I can still make a choice. Now we're gonna move down to the gear icon. This is where a lot of the settings we're gonna change are. Let's start at the top. And this one is quite confusing, but sort of a key to making this behave the way that I think a camera should, and it's disconnecting the settings in photo and video mode. So I set all of these to the video camera, and it just means that white balance, photo styles, metering modes, all of those are different as you switch back and forth between photo and video, and especially photo style. If you're shooting in log, you don't want your photos to be logged. So definitely change this first thing. The only thing I don't change is AF mode. I'm happy for that to be the same between them. Overall, this feature makes sense. I just think it's the name that is confusing and a lot of users have a hard time finding it. So remember it, creative video combined set. Wait, why was I recording with the screen flipped out? That was weird. I think all these defaults in the focus and shutter are pretty good. Let's customize a couple buttons though. Function button set. Like I said, I try to keep most things at default, but I'm gonna go through here to the second screen. And this front button, this one right there, that button, I assign that to my frame markers, which we're gonna set up a little bit more in a second, but what that allows me to do is as I'm filming, I can switch on and off 16:9 because this camera supports OpenGate. So I can have extra parts of my frame visible, but then by hitting that button, I get little black bars to see like really what will this look like in 16:9. Or if the content is also for social media, I might make it 9:16. One of my favorite video features on any camera is OpenGate. Now this is something that cinema cameras have had for a long time, but a lot of mirrorless don't. But Lumix fully supports it. And what that means is usually when you're shooting video, 16:9 is a really common format. But the sensor is actually taller than that, and the S5 II allows you to capture that full sensor. So you get a taller image than what you're going to be using in the end, but it means that you're able to either crop it for social media use, or you just have more flexibility in post. Either way, that's why I shoot in the 6K uncropped mode. It's crazy sharp, it gives you so much flexibility. Every camera needs OpenGate. And the other most important one here is on the up button. Put it wherever you want, I just put it on up. I make sure to add E-stabilization because it is very good in this camera. So all the time I'm just hitting it and switching it to on or off. This just gives you the sort of standard stabilization. It crops in a small percent, but gives you a very balanced, stable footage without being unrealistic. Then on the down button, which they call function 10, I assign that to Boost IS. Generally, I keep my photo grid lines on. That's up to you, personal taste, because they're always in the way, but I like to see them. It's just that subtle rule of thirds grid. Then the level gauge, I always keep this on. This is just so that like as you are moving, you see that yellow line. The yellow means it's not balanced, and once you land in a level spot, it turns green, super helpful. What drives me crazy is there's actually a bunch of cinema cameras that don't support that level, but it's, you know, it's built into this super affordable Lumix. So every camera should have this. And actually got added to the iPhone this year, which was a nice update. Going down, Vlog, View Assist, definitely want that on. You can just use the default Vlog Rec 709 light. You don't need something custom. This just shows you that you're exposing and getting the correct white balance and all that. Now, I already set this custom button, but frame markers, this is where I can decide if they are 16:9 or occasionally 9:16. Great for social media content. You can see that it just gives me like the cutout of my image. I'm pressing the button on the front to turn that on and off. Every camera needs open gate. We all shoot vertical content now. Another one that shows me that Lumix doesn't just think of these as photo cameras that can take videos, but proper video cameras, red rec frame indicator. So I turn that on and it just means when I hit record, we get a red rectangle all the way around the border, and it's just much easier to spot when you are recording or not. Next, let's go into the wrench. I like to turn my monitor backlight up just a little bit, +1, sometimes +2 even. Go down and let's turn the beep off just in case you shoot weddings or you don't want other people to know when you're starting and stopping recording. Oh, and another one actually I skipped over. If we go back to the gear, go into dial set, and I like control dial assignment to be set to ISO. That just means that this will now update the ISO so I don't have to press the button on the front of the camera. Another little tip, if you find the display going on and off when you don't expect it to, it's because there is a sensor right here. Smart place to put it. It actually goes off less than other cameras. But I'm often using this LVF button, which will switch it between only using the EVF and using the back display or have that automatic switching. So if you don't want it going on and off, just toggle through there. The S5 II is an amazing hybrid camera, great for photos and for videos. I have another video about how I rig this up for real big video production. Check that one out, and I'll see you in the next video.